Today we're going to take a look at the respiratory system. Hopefully this is a system you have a little familiarity with because you should have learned about it in health if you took that in 9th grade or at any point at BHS. We'll just first look at the function and the different parts of your respiratory system. So the purpose of your respiratory system is for gas exchange. We need to get oxygen into our bodies so that our cells can make energy. And then as part of that making energy process, that cell respiration process, your cells give off carbon dioxide as a waste product, a part of that. And we need a way to get that waste product, carbon dioxide, out of our body. So our respiratory system is what lets that happen. If we take a look, our body needs to have a way to get air into our respiratory system. That is where your nostrils and nasal cavity come into play. Now you can also breathe in through your mouth and get air into your respiratory system via your mouth. However, your nasal cavity has special features that allow the air to be filtered better than if you were to breathe in through your mouth. So as long as you are not congested, you should try to breathe through your nose just because that will filter the air more than through your mouth and help protect you a little bit better. From there, so the air will enter into your respiratory system. From there, it needs to go down your throat. The name for your throat is pharynx. So the air passes through your pharynx to your throat, through the larynx, which is down here. That's your voice box. So inside of your larynx, you have vocal cords, which allow you to produce sound. When you are learning how to speak, you're learning how to control the airflow over your vocal cords so that you're able to produce specific sounds. Once the air goes through your larynx, it's going to go down into your trachea, which is commonly referred to as your windpipe. It's a short tube, relatively short tube, and it's got rings of cartilage. You can kind of see like these white bands on the front of the trachea. They help to hold the trachea open so that airflow is able to go, back and forth without any issues. At the base of the trachea, that's going to split off to each lung. Where it splits, those are called bronchi. You have a right bronchus and a left bronchus. So the right bronchus would go to the right lung, and the left bronchus would go to the left lung. Now you might be wondering why I'm saying right, and I'm pointing at the lung on the left of your screen, and I'm saying left and pointing at the lung on the right of your screen. That is something that we'll get into in a couple weeks. And that is referred to as anatomical position. So when you're using different directions to refer to, in this case would be a patient or someone else that you're talking about, you need to refer to their right and their left, which is opposite of yours. So this here, even though we're looking at this diagram, even though this lung is on our right, you can see down here it is labeled the left lung. And this lung, even though it is on our left side, when we're looking at the diagram, it is actually that person's right lung. After the bronchi split off of the trachea, it's going to continue and have smaller and smaller branches. You can kind of see them. It's showing inside of your two lungs. Those are called bronchioles. That's just going to further direct the air to our end goal, which is getting the air into the alveoli. You can't see those on this diagram. They are actually microscopic, and we'll look at them in just a minute. Another part of your respiratory system is your diaphragm. So that's down here. It's a sheet-like muscle. If you are to feel on your body, if you feel right below where your ribs are, inside of there, essentially separating you, cutting you in half in upper and lower portions, inside it's this sheet of muscle, and that's your diaphragm. That's going to help control your breathing. When you inhale, so if you take a minute and just take a really deep breath in, what that is doing, that diaphragm muscle is contracting. So we talked about muscles, the muscular system previously. This would be a type of smooth muscle. You're going to contract that diaphragm, and it's going to pull downward. When you are pulling that downward, that's going to pull air into your lungs. So you taking a deep breath And then holding that, what you're doing is you're pulling that diaphragm down, which is pulling air into your lungs. When you are breathing out, if you breathe out forcefully, what you're doing is you are pushing your diaphragm upward. You're relaxing that muscle, and that's pushing air out of your lungs. Now, what's happening inside of your lungs is really what's important to us, and that is gas exchange. So the respiratory system is also referred to as the respiratory tree. You can see it kind of looks like an upside down tree where the trunk of the tree would be your trachea, and then the big branches would be the bronchi, which is plural for bronchus. So if you see bronchus up here in the diagram, that's what it's referring to, is a singular version of bronchi. And then from there, the smaller branches on the tree would be would be the bronchioles. And at the end, like where the leaves would be the alveoli. Those are kind of little clusters, kind of like clusters of grapes would look, all bunched together. And they are going to be surrounded by capillaries. Now, I know we didn't talk about the cardiovascular system yet, or blood vessels, but capillaries are your smallest blood vessel. Their walls are only 1 cell thick. So it's very easy for gas exchange to happen, meaning it's easy for the carbon dioxide in your blood that's coming from your body, where it's used up all the oxygen and given carbon dioxide into your blood. So that carbon dioxide can diffuse. If you remember that from biology, diffusion is when things move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So when you have used the oxygen in your blood, and you've gotten carbon dioxide back into your blood from your cells, that blood needs to go to your lungs so that the carbon dioxide in your blood, where there's a lot of it, can diffuse into the alveoli, which you see down here. So it would diffuse across the walls there of the capillary and the alveoli, because there would be less carbon dioxide in the air that's inside the alveoli. The opposite happens with oxygen. So there would be a lot of oxygen in the alveoli that would diffuse across those walls and go into your bloodstream, so it can be taken to all of the cells of your body to continually get oxygen to your cells. Now, that needs to happen over and over. Another thing, so what we'll see, and we'll review this when we do cardiovascular, you're seeing blue and red here. That is just to make it easier for us to see on diagrams, where there would be oxygen poor blood and oxygen rich blood. So oxygen poor blood is shown as blue on diagrams, and oxygen rich blood is shown as red. That does not mean that we have blood inside of our bodies that is blue. So I'm just going to put that out there now to start you thinking about those things. And we'll focus on that. We'll talk about that more when we do the cardiovascular system. We'll get into that next week. So that whole process is going to need to happen continually. If you think about the reason why we need oxygen, which is to get energy, or to be able to make energy in our cells, if you start running, for example, what happens to your breathing rate? If you think about that, hopefully you'll think about how your breathing rate needs to increase. If you are running, you're going to use more energy, so you need to get more oxygen to your cells. The way you do that is that your breathing rate increases. Okay, that's all part of homeostasis, or maintaining an internal balance and making sure everything is working right inside of our bodies. That's going to be actually our next topic that we get into, homeostasis. Another thing I just want to point out before we wrap this up with a short video to kind of show you parts of the respiratory system in 3D. Another thing is that the air that you're breathing in, there are different gases in the air that we breathe in. We only need oxygen from the air that we breathe in. So you're breathing in all of the gases that are in the air. So you are breathing in nitrogen gas, you're breathing in carbon dioxide gas, you're breathing in oxygen gas. You're only using some of the oxygen that you're breathing in. When you breathe out, you're breathing out the extra oxygen that you didn't use, you're breathing out the nitrogen gas again, you're breathing out more carbon dioxide because that's being returned to your lungs from your body to get rid of. So again, we're just going to watch a short video so you can see some of these parts, and then that will wrap up the respiratory system for today.
The respiratory system provides the body with the ability to perform gas exchange with our external environment. It consists of an extensive network of branching tubes whose sac-like endings are in close contact with blood vessels. It is at these points that oxygen enters the blood and carbon dioxide exits. Anatomically, we divide the respiratory system into two distinct parts: the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract.
Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is take a deep breath and use this lesson to get your respiratory assignment done for today. Have a good one.